The economy is tough. People become more picky about where they spend their money. You probably are the same way. And if you happen to be a small business owner, the last thing you do is, you want to do, is lose a customer due to poor customer service. David Carlton is here. He's a small business expert with some tips on how to make sure that your customer service stays peak, especially in tough economic times. David, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Pleasure.
We certainly do appreciate
My
it. Let's just get right to this, because I think all of us can relate to dealing with a situation where we just thought the customer service was awful. And what we tend to do is tell everyone we know what happened, and maybe even run to our Facebook or Twitter pages and write about that person or that company.
You know, a lot of companies, spend a lot of time trying to save pennies and leave a lot of dollars on the table. You know, companies spend hundreds, even thousands of dollars every year to attract new customers, only to lose getting any future business just because of poor customer service. And these days, as you said, you never want to lose any customers to a competitor. So I've got 5 different ways, 5 free ways.
5 free ways in order to never lose a customer again. Let's just get right to this. Number 1 is call people back.
Call people back. You know, these are things that, you learned in kindergarten. Somebody calls you. If you've ever had, work needed to be done around the house, you have money, you want to give money to somebody, you leave a message, and they don't call you back. Just calling you back, the simple act of calling people back will distinguish you from your competition. It's a shame, but it will. So that's the first one.
First one is call people back. You know, I can add something to this in the fact that my son's pediatrician, who's located in Scripps Ranch, when I call, somebody actually picks up the phone. I don't have to go through an automated computer system. I get to the person, the receptionist, right off the bat. Why is that so uncommon anymore?
You know what? That was number. I could have given 2 dozen of these.
Sure.
That was number 6. Don't have an answering service.
No.
And don't put people on hold and try and not transfer. If you've ever gone into a transfer circle, it's just horrible. So try and answer the phone if you can.
Yeah, I tell you, that's one of the reasons we keep going back to them, is just because somebody is there to pick up the phone. Okay, number 2, say you're sorry and admit when you're wrong, and maybe say you're sorry when you don't think you're wrong.
Exactly. The customer is good customer service says the customer is always right. Look, a lot of times just saying you're sorry, customers may understand, and they understand that things don't always go the way you thought they would go. Say you're sorry, and you can really just deflate a possible negative situation. Not only say you're sorry, but admit that you were wrong, if in fact you were wrong.
Sure.
Not a hard thing to do.
Something didn't get shipped on time, something came damaged or broken. Say you're sorry, and don't come up with a whole list of excuses following the apology, because people don't like to hear that, and nor do they really care.
Exactly.
Number 3, do the right thing. That kind of follows what we've just been talking about.
It really does. All companies have policies and procedures, standard operating procedures, and they're there as a guideline. Use them as a guideline. They can't account for every situation. So give your employees the latitude to make special decisions, for special situations. So do the right thing. Do the logical thing. Think about, what would you do if you were sitting on the other side of the table, and do that.
Sure. Okay. And then do what you say you're going to do. This is huge, because I think that no matter if we're dealing with a big business or a small business, we want to make sure that we get what we're paying for, and that you feel like your money is well spent. And I think that by being a small business owner, you just need to follow through. You know what? Sales happen when value exceeds price. And if you do what you say you're going to do, then it means that not only are you going to do that before the sale, but you'll probably do that after the sale. And it gives your future customer a good vote of confidence that you're a good person to do business with. Because like we said, word of mouth is huge in any business. These days it's word of mouse, because it's just a click and you can lose a ton of customers. Oh, I like the way, word of mouth, something to think about. And then last but not least, ask for feedback, listen to the answers. Do you recommend sending out those surveys? Because sometimes I think people feel obligated to write that you were so great, even though they may not feel that way. Well, I think that, what you want to do is encourage people to give you positive reviews. We all now go to Yelp and Google Plus and some of these other places. So there's nothing wrong with encouraging people to give you a positive review. But asking for feedback can prevent someone from giving you a negative review if there might have been a misunderstanding. So making something right that was wrong can get you a positive review, can turn a negative into a positive. Yeah, absolutely. And I would definitely say bottom line is, if you have made a mistake, find a way to make it right. That's probably one of the hugest things. I recently dealt with a party rental company in the area, had an absolutely nightmarish experience, and all I wanted to do was maybe a partial refund since I didn't get what I had ordered or paid for, and I didn't get anything, and I immediately went to Yelp and all those things. I said,
Yep.
you know, I don't want anybody else to experience what I've gone through.
Yep, word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Make sure you do the right thing.
That's perfect. David, thank you so much for coming in
My
this morning.
pleasure.
We always do appreciate it, and we'll put all of your information on our website,
Perfect.
SanDiegoSticks.com.